formed in New York in 1978, although all of the founding members were from North Carolina, and they existed until 1988. In that period, they released 4 albums. There was then an album released in 1994 before they reformed in 2005 and have had one album since in 2012. They are labelled as power pop or jangle pop, and they have been more popular with critics than with people who buy music. There are 4 members currently and 4 ex-members. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was their first album, and this is my first encounter with them as a band, so I didn't know what to expect at all. So apparently this album went down really well with the critics, but sold badly. In fact, Wikipedia uses the phrase negligible sales. It was released by an English label, which is somewhat unusual for an American band. So it's been called power pop. I'm not entirely sure how I would categorize power pop. I kind of think of this as being it's kind of somewhere in the new wave kind of area. It's certainly got some of the elements of sounds of punk, but it's not as raw as that by any stretch of the imagination. But it has a little bit of that energy edge to it. Some of the tracks are quite normal, some of them are quite unusual. There's the term jangle pop has been used, and that kind of basically implies that the guitars are jangly rather than overdriven. The vocals are really quite clear and done in quite a up in the mix way, and they occasionally sound a bit like the Beach Boys, I would say, but with more modern stuff going on. Possibly a little bit like the Stranglers at times musically, but just the general atmosphere it feels more innocent than the Stranglers ever seemed to. There's a decent energy behind it, and so I think it's okay. It's quite varied, which is always good. It's hard to categorize, which is usually, I think, a good sign, and I think part of the reason it's hard to categorize is the sheer variation of different sounds that are used and approaches. Possibly my favorite track, or the one that stuck in my mind most, is a track called "The Fight." But in general, I reasonably like this album. I might potentially go back and deliberately listen to it again at some point. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I always enjoy reading people's comments, so please be a person who puts a comment. And that's it from me for now.
Well, I woke up in bed, it was the middle of the night, and we were still in bar.